Oh yeah, I'm gonna get my 3D model done so I can rebrand my Twitch and YouTube before the end of the month. Oh geez, I guess I'll have to use my old PNG YouTuber or actual camera, won't I? Oh, well, that works. Guess we're going gremlin mode for a little bit. Howdy, and welcome to my channel. I'm not usually a Deltarune theorist, I'm more of a shiny hunter and artist, but I do love Deltarune, and as a content creator, I figured in my excitement for Chapter 5 and Deltarune as a whole, it was about time I made a theory video. I've been observing theory videos for a while. I'm a fan of the device theory, and a few other theories out there. I'm aware of the community. So I kind of want to throw my hat in the ring for at least one video. I've had this theory bouncing around in the back of my head for a while. I really want to get it out before Chapter 5 hits us like a big truck. Because of this need to be quick, I'm going to cite a few other theories without going into depth with them. I'm not here to remake other people's videos. As well, I'm going to go quick to express the core ideas. But if you all want more on this theory, either make your own theory videos, give me some credit, please, or, I don't know, like and subscribe so I know that this was a big success, and I will make a video after Chapter 5 is out, I promise. Only if this does well though, but this is an experiment. You know the deal. At its core, this theory is an expansion for Death Knight theory, as well as the Ralsei headband theory, and how they can explain the Knight's motivations, and explain exactly what Ralsei and the Knight are. Death Knight is a very popular theory that needs little introduction, but I'll give a little bit of one to at least show my understanding of the theory and its holes. The Knight is creating fountains that to this point seem to involve characters and items that, quote-unquote, that girl and Chris used to play with according to Ram. And darkners in each darkness take the shape according to the person with determination that creates the fountain. Honestly, with these lines, I can't see the Knight being anyone other than Des or Noelle. I mean, I guess Caddy's there, but other things tie into Des and Noelle as well. Aside from dialogue, other elements include the antlers on the Knight's helmet, which also in the text is heavily implied to be a helmet. That'll come in later. I'm not gonna go too deep into that. And don't even get me started on the sword and bat mess. I think it's a bat, but that's not part of the theory. I honestly think the text is clear enough with these two text boxes. But let's talk about arguments against Death Knight, for example. What is going on with Des? Where is she? Is she in the code of the game? Is she lost in the dark or the depths? But if she's the Knight, isn't she just hanging out with Gasty between creating fountains, maybe sharing some of those strange leaves with him? That'd be fun. Even more egregious is the fact that if Des is the Knight, and genuinely I haven't agreed with anyone's theory on this yet, what is her motivation? Why would Des, despite all of the themes of overcoming someone else's control, even if she's been controlled, not be able to fight back? What would that say about the story? We even have examples of Chris fighting back against us from time to time. I genuinely think, because of the motivation and themes alone, Des herself can't be the Knight. She just couldn't. It's too cartoonishly villainous. Like evil for the sake of evil, the way a kid playing a game might be evil. It's strange for someone to be so dead set on being one side of this moral compass. It's almost like how Ralsei is so uncharacteristically such a good boy. Wait. Ralsei? Ralsei is a confusing element to Deltarune's story that has been staring us in the face this whole time, even since Chapter 1. He has been prevented from being revealed long enough that I fear what he is a big reveal. Crafted for the fans that like to dig really deep. What I want to propose is a parallel in a darkner that has shown over and over to be a very important character to the story. Spamton. Weak and barely in control. The personification of ads, a personality made to do shady deals, but with enough desire to seek a different identity, something changed in him. He becomes stronger even before the Neo body. He even has like a pseudo mini boss fight. This idea is supported by the existence of the Neobody as well. The dream of what someone wished they could be, who they wished to become. Him taking that made him so powerful, a real big shot. All he needed was just a little bit more to reach freedom. Just a little heart-shaped object. I think that having the identity of a Lightner in the Neobody was almost enough to bridge the divide between the light world and the dark world. One half of the puzzle. And Spamton knew what the other piece was. The Neobody even had a compartment for where a heart-shaped object would go, now filled by Spamton's attempts to create new ones. I think there's two really important elements to define thanks to the Spamton Neo fight. An identity and a soul. Every Darkner has their own identity already though, right? No. Sadly, I don't think they do. They don't have souls or identity to call their own. For the most part, Darkner's identities are borrowed from the imagination or projection of the Fountain's creators' views on the objects that the Darkners represent. The exceptions, I believe, are a spectrum of how independent their identities are. The bosses of chapters 1, 2, and 3, for example, I feel are a good example for Darkners with around the middle range of having an identity. The more tied to the object they represent, the less identity in this term they would hold. I believe Ralsei is similar to the Neobody, just with an existing connection to the Lightner that created him. A bit of light from the soul perhaps is what allows him to be more than just a lifeless vessel too. I believe that, like the Ralsei headband theory, that Ralsei represents an identity Chris desired to become, a child of their parents and sibling to their brother. But where I want to take this further is that Ralsei is a character they created when they played their games with Des or Noelle. When they wore the horns, they were a fantastical good character, defined by the child of the king and queen, a prince. And who did Des or Noelle play? The villain of their stories, a dark knight. Strife by strife, they played and played, until one day, something happened and it all just stopped. That part of Chris, a representation of their childhood, the character they played, just like Des or Noelle's character, had to be left behind, to focus on the tragedies of their reality. A prince left alone in the dark. I should clarify, I respect Chris's non-binary identity, and while some may view Ralsei's gender identity as the prince in the dark, a counterpoint to this by saying it is disrespectful to say a character with a masculine identity is in some way a reflection of our non-binary protagonist, but I think Chris has grown since Des's disappearance. They came to discover their own identity after shedding their past. I think this also gives weight to the potential coldness Chris has for Ralsei at times. It's like coming to terms with who you were as a naive kid. This also gives weight to why the game takes time to explore who Ralsei is. It means more to explore an idea when offering ideas that contest it in the same story. Ralsei being his own person means more when they used to not be, if that makes sense. I'm totally down for Ralsei's individual identity continuing to grow, even in terms of gender as well. I think understanding gender expression is an important part of finding one's individual identity as well. I can see this growing sense of identity being relevant to the story going on in big ways as well. Maybe Ralsei being a representation of a character Chris used to roleplay is why Ralsei has a void where a soul might go. I know I'm not the only one that noticed that, right? What if this is precisely what a vessel is? Something created by a being with determination, intended to be a representation of oneself. That's what the Goner Maker is. We're creating a Darkner with a unique identity, capable of holding a soul. Ralsei could be any item that represented Chris as a child playing pretend, but I think the horned headband is the best candidate. This is even cooler if you consider a potential for a mirror character, a Darkner made out of an item associated with one of the Holiday Sisters, an item associated with their very identity or to roleplay as the villain. Because of the Knight's helmet, I believe this Darkner will mirror Ralsei even more directly, being an antlered headband worn by a human Des. A darkner with both identity and soul, kinda like a Spanton Neo success story. Not integral to the story if monsters still have souls, but I think Des could be human, and like Chris, can survive without the soul. Lost in the dark, unable to cross the divide without one. That's why she's in the code. But the character Des used to play, the villain she played pretend as when she was younger, has her soul now, and without even changing form can move freely both in the light and the dark. The motivation is simply being the villain of the games she didn't want to end with Chris, or should I say Ralsei, the character Chris used to play. That's the theory for the most part. That they're both darkeners created by the characters they were LARPing as, if that makes sense. Hence the LARP theory name. Yeah, I kinda did it as a joke, but it ties in enough. If I had anything to add, it would be two things. First is that this theory can mesh quite well with the idea of Ralsei being able to fill any role of the prophecy as needed. Maybe because Chris used to pretend to be all three heroes of the prophecy when playing pretend. Second is the potential for Ralsei to desire the soul, to desire to be used as an identity, a mask to wear, a character to be played again. Maybe we could even get a fight, where it's just Chris versus Ralsei fighting for the soul. I think that'd be really cool. I know this isn't airtight, and it's gonna be my first ever theory video, but I had to make this. I haven't seen anyone else explore the idea of an ascended darkner as the knight, or like a roleplay identity darkner, where it takes the shape of someone's previous sense of identity. It's really interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and again, consider liking and subscribing. I mostly do Pokemon content, but I'll do more. I'll do more Deltarune at some point. That's a promise. Have a good one, and enjoy Chapter 5 next week.